Hello, welcome to News Vortex. We have compiled the latest developments in Turkey for you. Let's start with our first news without wasting any time. Greek Foreign Minister Nikos Dendias, speaking about Greece's aid to Turkey, said, "We cannot link Greece's aid to the Turkish people to political issues." Greece, one of the countries that extended a helping hand to Turkey after the earthquake, sent both search and rescue teams and humanitarian aid to the region. Greek Foreign Minister Nikos Dendias made important statements regarding the relationship between the two countries after the earthquake centered in Kahramanmaras.
Turkey is facing an unprecedented disaster. It is not yet possible to know or feel the consequences of this sad disaster. My presence in Turkey was a clear indication of Greece's inseparable support and solidarity with the Turkish people. The images we saw were shocking, and the sorrow we felt is indescribable. The efforts of the Greek aid mission members who showed every possible effort to rescue earthquake victims from the rubble are commendable. In this gloomy atmosphere, my Turkish counterpart, Mevlut Cavusoglu, welcomed us with special sincerity and expressed gratitude to the Greek government, the Greek Prime Minister, and the Greek people. He also frequently praised the work of the Greek teams. The warm and sincere requests of the Turkish citizens were met with the same warmth and dedication by our teams. The willingness of the Greek state and society to help our neighbor and the gratitude of the Turkish people for accepting this help are fundamental parameters that we should not forget. We cannot link Greece's aid to the Turkish people to any geopolitical development or political issues.
Extending a helping hand in the face of tragic events is a beautiful example of humanity, and Greece's assistance to Turkey is just that. In times of such pain and sorrow, the solidarity and support of our neighbors can be a great source of strength. I hope that this mutual aid and friendship between our two countries will continue in the future. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held a press conference with Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu. Ignoring the support that the U.S. provides to the PKK-YPG, Blinken stated, "We understand Turkey's security concerns related to its southern border. I hope they understand our concerns regarding ISIS as well." Cavusoglu responded by saying, "We always say that collaborating with a terrorist organization is wrong. We have always proved that the claim that PKK fights against ISIS is not true." U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who made his first official visit to Turkey since taking office, visited the areas affected by the 7.7 and 7.6 magnitude earthquakes centered in Kahramanmaras yesterday and arrived in Ankara today for talks. Blinken held a press conference with Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu where tensions arose between the two over the U.S. support for the PKK-YPG terrorist group. When a journalist reminded about the U.S. support for the terrorist group PKK-YPG in Syria and asked, "What will the U.S. do in the future to alleviate Turkey's security concerns?" Blinken replied,
"We understand Turkey's security concerns related to its southern border. I hope they understand our concerns regarding ISIS as well. We will continue to maintain close cooperation here with Turkey. However, our focus is currently on helping the Syrian people."
In response, Cavusoglu stated,
"We always say that collaborating with any other terrorist organization against another terrorist organization is wrong. We say it's a fatal mistake. Therefore, we do not approve the support of YPG in the fight against ISIS. We have always proven that the claim that PKK-YPG fights against ISIS is not true. We must fight against all terrorist organizations as NATO.
I hope we get rid of this terrorism menace as soon as possible." An earthquake with a magnitude of 6.4 occurred in Hatay. Afad announced that the earthquake with a magnitude of 6.4, centered in the Defne district of Hatay, occurred at 20:04. Afad also announced that an aftershock with a magnitude of 5.8, centered in the Samandağ district of Hatay, occurred at 20:07. CNN TRK correspondent Buse Deviran could not hold back her tears while describing the 6.4 and 5.8 magnitude earthquakes that occurred in Hatay.
An incredible earthquake has occurred. the ground shook beneath us. Stoves collapsed. Children were very scared, and so were we. People's stoves fell over. We were inside the tent and couldn't find anything to hold on to. Many people were using stoves for heating. The children were very scared, they are crying right now. This was not like an aftershock. It was a very big earthquake. We felt a 5.1, but it wasn't like that. People jumped out of their tents. Children fell to the ground. There are electric poles. We are in a park with trees and they were afraid that the trees would fall. Everything is dusty. The buildings that didn't collapse probably did now. It lasted for about 10 to 15 seconds. It hit really hard. We couldn't even stand up where we were. Everything is smoky now. Perhaps the buildings that didn't collapse before have collapsed now. You can't see anything on the street. We are inside the tent right now.
Today we received sad news from Hatay. Our hearts are with those affected by the earthquake. We hope that everyone in the region, including those currently there, remains safe and healthy. On February 6, 2023, earthquakes of magnitude 7.7 and 7.6 killed thousands of people in Hatay and left them homeless. The earthquake victims, who were still recovering from their wounds, experienced 2 more earthquakes 15 days later, this time with epicenters in Defne and Samandog. In the city, which experienced great fear and panic, some damaged buildings collapsed. In the last tremor, 6 people lost their lives and more than 300 people were injured. Hatayans, whose houses were damaged or destroyed in successive earthquakes, flocked to the intercity bus terminal and left the destroyed city one by one with the belongings they could save. Stating that he has lived in Hatay for 40 years, Umit Ozalp said,
I was born and raised in Hatay. There was a very big earthquake. We have nothing left. Our house, our dormitory, our children. We lost our jobs and our situation is deplorable. Everyone is trying to change their provinces with buses. They call this earthquake 7.7, I don't believe it at all, this earthquake is over 12. Because there is no stone left on stone.
Kenan Keller, who works in the bus company, also used the following expressions.
Usually our passengers go to Antalya, Mersin and Istanbul. There is neither a house nor a place to sleep here. Everyone is in a victimized situation. We are trying to do our best. Cars leave every hour. It is busy right now. Some people come back to see how their houses are. Every car is full. We carry at least 2,000 passengers daily.
The situation is really deplorable. Both the house you live in and the workplace you work in are collapsing. I hope that no one will ever face such a disaster again. As Turkey's heart bleeds, provocations and disinformation have come along with it. While 1,001 allegations were made, one of them was the claim that the door was open to Syrians. While Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu, who made the first statement, emphasized that the allegations were completely baseless, another statement came from Hulusi Akar, the Minister of National Defense. Hulusi Akar, accompanied by Chief of General Staff General Yasar Guler, made inspections in the city center after the 6.4 magnitude earthquake centered in Hatay's Defne district. Akar, who first went to AFAD Coordination Center, then came to the Turkish Armed Forces Liaison Office and received information. Minister Akar, who made inspections, also answered the questions of journalists. Minister Akar used the following statements.
This is absolutely not true. We have intensively discussed the issue in our inspections at the border, in our meetings with military and civilian officials, in our inspections at our military units on the border line and in our meetings at the border gates. These allegations are absolutely untrue. Syrian citizens living in Turkey are returning to their own lands due to the loss of their homes and relatives. There are Syrian citizens returning to their homes and lands from Turkey to Syria in one direction. We are currently monitoring that this number has exceeded 20,000.
Needless to say, the Turkish people are very happy when Syrians leave Turkey and return to their own country. We have come to the end of today's news. Thank you for watching and we wish you healthy and safe days. See you in the next video.